Welcome back to this segment of Helping Hands. I'm Vice Mayor Linda Bartz, and my guest is Dr. Glover from the Mount Bethel Human Services Corporation. You're the executive director.
That's correct.
Tell me a little bit about this organization.
Well, actually, I'm representing two organizations today, Mount Bethel Human Services Corporation and New Visions Community Development Corporation.
Okay.
Mount Bethel Human Services Corporation, first of all, was founded back in 1993 due to the overrepresentation of minorities in the juvenile justice system. Our first program was called Teen Alliance with Clergy, and basically what it did was prevented juveniles from penetrating the juvenile justice system, keeping the minorities from going into the system by providing services not only to the client but to the family. And we were very successful in that. By our contract was through the Department of Juvenile Justice, and we were able to keep about 500 youth annually from entering into the juvenile justice system. And of course, we were founded to go into the homes and find out the other needs that they had. And by doing that, we were able to realize that maybe little Johnny was the quote-unquote identified client, but mama was unemployed. Dad may not have been in the home. And there were so many other services that needed to be done. So what we did was provided mentors to go in the home and help assist with cleaning. We started jobs programs so that mom and others could learn skills that would make sure that they get out of poverty. And we just took off from that first program called Teen Alliance with Clergy. Now, on the other hand, New Vision CDC was founded in 1997 because we believe in home ownership instead of renting. So what we've done is we've been able to put several hundred of people in homes by providing first-time home buyers classes, doing housing counseling, making sure they clean up their credit, and then qualify them to get homes through subsidies from many of the banks. And what we plan to do is duplicate those services up here in St. Lucie County.
Where are you doing them now?
We're doing them in Broward County, in Fort Lauderdale.
Okay, so you're doing them in Florida.
Yes.
And it's working.
It's working, yes. Our programs are very successful. We have several juvenile programs. We focus on three areas as far as human services is concerned: diversion, intervention, and prevention. We believe if you catch them at the front end, then you don't have to pay humongous dollars at the back end, because it only costs about $1,000 annually for a client on the front end, where it costs us $25,000 to $35,000 annually to house them on the back end. So it definitely saves the community, the government, some dollars.
And it saves them.
And it saves
I'm sorry, but to me, more important, I am obviously concerned about the government dollars, but if we are saving not just those youth, but their families, and you know, we talked a little bit before in the fact that, you know, we have children, and we don't have necessarily all the tools and the wherewithal to be able to face all the situations you do with a child.
That's right.
And certainly, you know, you can have 2 children or 5 children,
and they
all are different.
Yes.
All separate issues.
Yep.
All need to be dealt with differently. And all have different needs.
That's
I mean, they all have the basics.
That's true.
But after that, there's some big differences.
There's huge differences.
So I appreciate the fact that, you know, you are looking at helping these youth.
And we do individualized service plans.
Okay.
In other words, we don't do what some people call call cookie cutters. You know, one plan for everybody. We actually do individualized service plans for each client that we work with, because we recognize that each client have different needs. and we want to make sure that we're meeting the needs of the clients. I told you earlier, our mantra is building families, changing lives. And the only way we're going to build families and change lives is deal with the problems directly.
Right.
And that's exactly what we try to do.
So tell me a little bit more about, well, first of all, I happen to know that you bought some land.
Yes.
What are you going to do with it?
Oh, we have some great plans. Our Bishop C. Glover, who is the president, CEO, and the founder of our organizations, and also he founded a school, which we plan to duplicate as well up in this area. But his vision is to make sure, first of all, that the 33 acres that we have, we're going to put a home on, the church, because we were founded out of the church. But we're also going to put some independent living housing. We plan to do some senior saints housing, as we call them, you know, for homes for the elderly. We plan to put a restaurant up there, and the whole idea is to make sure that whatever the need is in the community, that we try to meet that need, so that people don't have to continue to go all over the place to find things. We'll try to be a one-stop shop. And we take care of all of your needs, your social service needs. Of course, the human services will be housed there in our Community Development Corporation. And also on the CDC side, we have another about 5 acres that's located in the Fort Pierce area, where we plan to do some single-family housing in that particular area, to make sure, once again, that people begin to own their homes as opposed to renting.
Well, one thing that really interested me is that you are teaching people how to build their credit, what they need to do to buy a home. And my other life has been, I'm a retired banker.
Okay.
And I've talked about that many times. I've got kids that grew up here, and I can tell you they know how to take care of a checkbook and all of that. But in fact, I can tell you that they don't necessarily get that in school.
No, they don't.
And so they don't have an idea of the importance of their credit.
Right.
It's very easy to fall into that guy at the mall,
right,
or that woman at the mall who says, you know what, you can have this watch, and you only have to pay $10 a month. And then the next time you go by, he goes, you know what?
You can
have this diamond ring, and that's only going to cost you $20 a month.
You can add this bracelet.
And before you know it, you've either bought it for yourself, or because it appears to be so inexpensive, because we're only looking at payments.
Exactly.
We're buying for our friends, and suddenly we're looking at payments that are well over anything we can afford.
Astronomical.
And these kids can't do it. And suddenly they've got a credit problem.
Exactly. That's why we provide the credit counseling and the first-time home buyers classes, to make sure that they understand that they ask the right questions. Instead of asking how much does this cost, they should be asking what's the interest rate. And they don't understand that. Like you said earlier, they go in and they say, well, I can afford this. Well, the thing is, you got to realize that it may be cheap on the front end, but you're going to pay much more on the back end. So we go in, and of course we do home buyers, the classes once per month, but we also have workshops throughout to make sure we have bankers coming in to talk to them about credit and what they need to do to qualify for loans. We've partnered with several banks down in Broward, and we're hoping to partner with several banks up this way once we get totally established, to make sure that they come in and talk to the people about money management.
Absolutely.
It's one of the biggest issues that we have. People realize, I mean, there's something wrong. There's something terribly wrong when you are driving a Mercedes, but you're living in a Section 8 apartment. To us, that means that your priorities are sort of out of whack, and we want to make sure that people understand. And there's nothing wrong with driving a Mercedes and living in Section 8, but the thing is that if you're going to be all that you can possibly be and make sure that you take care of your children's children, then you need to make sure you own something as opposed to renting.
Right.
And that's what we try to make sure that we teach everyone that comes through our classes. We have other philosophies, of course, that we believe in, but the bottom line is that we want the family to be whole. We believe that if we're going to make a difference in the lives of these communities, in the lives of the homes, if we're going to make a difference, period, it all begins with the family.
Well, and once you do that, and you have worked with a family, you should be able to rest assured that that's going to be carried on. That, you know, I may have been the client as a child.
Right.
My whole family has been taken care of. So when I become a parent, I'm going to have a lot of those tools. I may have to come up to brush up on a few things. Of course. But overall, I'm going to know what the importance of those tools are to be able to maintain my family, my next generation.
And many issues in the families are generational. And we recognize that they are generational, but it has to stop somewhere.
Absolutely.
And that's why we come in, and told you earlier, we divert, we intervene, and we prevent, so that these things can begin to see, people can begin to see the light at the end of the tunnel, so to speak.
Certainly.
To recognize that just because my grandfather or my grandmother and my mother lived this way, that I don't have to, and I don't want my children to. So we just want to make a difference in the lives of families. And to be honest with you, like I said earlier, we've been very successful. The one program that I referenced at the beginning, the Teen Alliance with Clergy program, for instance, during its quote-unquote heyday, we had a 95% success rate. And that's totally unheard of. And success meant that even though the client came to us for going into Macy's or to some of the other stores and stealing a little bracelet, and they were first-time misdemeanors, they did not reoffend up to at least a year after they left our program, because we followed them for at least a year. And to me, that's what you want to do with programs dealing with juveniles. We have so many stories of people who've gotten into homes, and it's changed their whole attitude about their life, because now, instead of renting, they're now homeowners, and they feel so proud of themselves. And we're very proud of the people that goes through our classes. We average about 35 families a month coming through our classes. So
that's wonderful. That is wonderful. So you have the property. You are getting established here.
Yes.
When and I'm assuming there's a lot of data to collect, and you're interacting with some of the community leaders, with the other organizations that we have here, so that we're all on the same page and we're all trying to work together.
Well, one thing we want to do is just that. We don't want to come in and say, you know, that here we are and we want to be separate from everybody else. We want to collaborate with the organizations that's already existing here. We believe totally in collaboration to make sure that everybody plays a role to get the job done. And so we're looking forward to going to the meetings with the various coalitions up here. Had an opportunity to meet with Children's Services Council to find out more about the organizations that they fund up here, and they were very candid with us about the organizations, and we plan to reach out to all of them really and find out how we can fit into the puzzle. You know, we deal with what we call the least, the lost, and the left out, and we want to make sure that they get the services that's needed as well as everyone else.
What we have learned in this community is that it takes a village.
It does.
And we open our arms to people who want to come in and want to be a part of us all working together. So I'm excited to hear that you know, once again, it's another tool out there
exactly
for our families and our children to be able to participate in. And I know once you start going that you'll be doing probably some fundraising, probably some advertising, marketing.
We'll be doing all of that. Actually,
sure.
You know, actually we've performed a little grant program that we were able to get through the city of Fort Pierce, where we called it Cutting Edge Ministry, where we were able to take care of about 500 youth in our different activities. A couple of the activities were a baccalaureate event with kids that were getting ready to go back to college. Because we were collaborating with several organizations here and they donated to us, they were able to go back, some with TVs, some with, you know, the DVD players, and many with all of the tools that they needed for school supplies, so that they can go back to school, you know, a happy person, as opposed to wondering, well, where am I going to get some of these things from? And we did a quote-unquote sock hop, where they came out and had fun and did a karaoke event, but they had to bring a new blanket in order to get there. Now, the blanket they didn't recognize at the time was for the homeless, because the next day we had blankets and bags filled with all types of supplies that we fed the homeless, and fed over about 150 people. You know, did breakfast and lunch. So we've already started. Just last week,
Good.
We had a health fair in Fort Pierce, where we were able to have the community come out and get free testing, you know, for cholesterol and blood pressure and some of the other health issues that they may have. And we have vendors there that were giving out free supplies. It was just an awesome event, and those are some of the things that we do. We really do them on a larger scale down in Fort Lauderdale, and I'm kind of laughing because we were talking about, when I was talking with Children's Services Council, I was telling them some of the things that we do, and we were talking about the back to school thing that we did here. We may have had 150 kids, but down there we do about 1,500. So, and we plan to do that up here. Bring those same services. And you know what? We don't just do it. We have several organizations that come in and help us do it. Because as you alluded to earlier, we've got to do this together.
Absolutely.
You know, I mean, our name may be there as the one that's out there, but we don't take the credit, because everybody is involved, and it's a community event.
So I have to ask a quick question, which is kind of off topic.
Okay.
So those kids that went out there, did they know what a sock hop was? Because I know what a sock hop is. And I'm thinking the kids today,
they don't know anything about a sock hop. They've never heard of a sock hop. They just knew that they were coming out for karaoke. Now, they know about karaoke, to come out and try to sing a little bit. But we called it a sock hop event. But no, they weren't quite aware of what a sock hop is. You know, that's probably our age. Language.
Yes, it is. It is. At least I know it's my age, but that's...
Oh, I enjoyed my sock hops back in the day.
In the day.
Yes.
Oh, yes. Things were different in the day.
Yes.
Different and not so different, I think.
Well, one of the things is, yeah, you know, the families were, I think, were a lot closer together, and that we've gotten away from some of the things that we did in the past that we just need to bring back.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. I'm a big proponent. I keep saying, you know what? I want to see block parties.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I know we're probably getting off a little bit, but sometimes you don't even know who your neighbors are these days, and that's not very good.
It is many times almost impossible. People leave for work early in the morning.
Yep.
They come home after dark.
That's true.
They pick up their kids from daycare.
The weekend, they're taking the kids out to events, and you just don't really have
it really
the time.
is an issue.
Right. It is.
So when can we expect? You just had a function.
Yes. April 1st.
Okay. That was at the Jaguar dealership? Was that the one that I went to?
That was the one you went to at the Lexus. At the Lexus.
Lexus.
Dealership.
Oh, I'm sorry.
At the Lexus dealership. That was our initial kickoff event to introduce ourselves to the community. We thought that it was a very awesome event. We were very proud to have the assistant chief there from the city of Port St. Lucie, the chief of the city of Port St. Lucie, the acting interim chief at that time
for
Fort Pierce, and we had an opportunity to just talk with them, and I was excited about some of the things that you all are already doing up here, and we talked about how we can come in and possibly enhance some of those services. So I'm looking forward to, getting with the chief and seeing what we can do to work together to make sure that we keep these kids out of the juvenile justice system and keep them in the homes where they belong, but also keeping families together.
Certainly.
Because we know the climate now, there are so many people that don't particularly trust the police, and when I was growing up, the police was your friend, and that's
Absolutely.
what we need to bring that back, because that's what they are. I was, like I said, I was just impressed with the chief and the assistant chief, and we're just looking forward to coming in and doing things differently.
We do have a lot of programs that are focused on the children. That is one of the great things about our county, is that we all focus on our children.
Yeah.
They are the future.
They are.
One of our great programs, what I think is my own opinion, is our teen court.
Okay.
Which it gives first-time offender an opportunity not to have a record.
Right.
And their peers are the prosecutor, the public defender, the jury. So
very familiar with teen court, and it works.
It has been doing very, very well with us.
Exactly.
Very well.
If as they say, it works if you work it. If you do,
and I think that we do.
If you do the right thing, it definitely will work. But see, that's somewhat of the model, except that we didn't use, the peers as basically the ones that were meeting justice out. But the bottom line is that our program kept our first-time misdemeanors from going further into the system. And we have prevention programs now. We have, I don't know if you're familiar with SINSFINs. We're very big on acronyms, and that stands for Children in Need of Services, Family in Need of Services, where we actually keep kids from penetrating the juvenile justice system. We go into the homes, we go into the schools, and we just get into their lives and quote-unquote interrupt it a bit to get them back on the right track.
Get in their face.
Yes, we get them back on the right track so that they can do.
And as parents, that's what we all want for our children.
Exactly.
Whether we know how to do it or we don't, that's what we all want, and we all want our children to do better than we did. So, I applaud you for working on these services, and yeah, let's move it from Fort Lauderdale. Well, I know we're not moving it.
We're not moving, right?
I know, we're not moving it from Fort Lauderdale, but we're moving the concepts.
We're moving the concepts, and we're bringing them here. And one of the reasons that we want to bring them to this area is not just because we also have a church up this area, but the bottom line is that when you look at the juvenile statistics by county, juvenile referrals in Broward County leads the state of Florida. But to be honest with you, in the Fort Pierce area, they're not too far behind. Port St. Lucie is doing a lot better, but the bottom line is that all kids need to make sure that they have avenues to stay on the right track.
Absolutely.
And that's what
Fort Pierce may not be doing as well right now, but we're all together in this. So, we are one county.
Exactly.
So when we benefit Fort Pierce, we benefit Port St. Lucie.
That's it.
And vice versa.
And, when we benefit Fort Lauderdale, Port St. Lucie, Fort Pierce, we benefit the state of Florida.
Absolutely.
So.
Well, Dr. Glover, it has been a pleasure to have you on the show today.
It's been a pleasure talking with you, and thank you so much for having me.
As things start building and going, we can have you back, and we can talk about some of the programs that you actually have in place and what the successes are and how it's going, and because I think that you're bringing some good stuff to this community.
Well, I want to definitely thank you for having me to come and just speak on behalf of Mount Bethel ministries, really, and to talk about some of the things that we are doing up here in this area. We love this area, and we recognize that we have to work together.
Absolutely.
To make sure that change will come. You know, we are Mount Bethel Human Services Corporation, the community sanctuary, building families, changing lives.
Wonderful.
That's what
Thank
we do.
you so much.
Thank you.
And we'll be right back after this message.